What the hell are we supposed to use, man? Harsh language?
All right, episode 6 of She-Hulk. Not 1.6, but Just Jen was the name of this one.
The name of the show has changed, Dusty. It's now called Just Jen, Attorney at Law. Thoughts?
You know, it's funny, you're joking, but they've actually changed the title in the title sequence each episode.
Yeah.
This one was Just Jen. The one last episode was like the She-Hulk brand of fragrance or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I think they did a couple of other ones, but I don't really remember what they were.
Right.
They've done it a few times. I don't know if they've done it every episode.
Yeah, but this is some fucking bullshit already, okay? Let me just... this was supposed to be the episode everybody was waiting for. With fucking Daredevil. Where's fucking Daredevil? All right?
Nice little filler so you got here.
I was being patient, and now I'm running out of patience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But to be fair to me and the audience, like, you can't, like, have Daredevil in your trailers every week and then expect people to just, like, wait patiently for it. Because, you know, for so many reasons. Obviously, Daredevil, people love the show on Netflix. He's a very popular just character in general. And they're fucking teasing you with him in the last episode with his helmet and shit.
Mm-hmm.
But not only that,
switch.
every single week, I follow Marvel on like Instagram and stuff, and every single week on social media in their promo reels for the next week, they show the same image of the same video, clip of Daredevil like flipping onto the roof or whatever.
Yeah. And you know what happens every week after that? Everyone tunes in to see Daredevil.
That is true. That's true. That's true. But yeah, another episode, sans Daredevil. But I actually did think this was a pretty fun one. And
it was funny.
And there was some interesting potential reveals for what's going to be happening going forward.
Oh, yeah.
But before we get into this episode, I want to say something because I was talking to my buddy Ed about the show, which he's not a fan of it. But he understands this show's not really meant for him. Like, he's not the target audience for this show. He's having a little trouble. But he did explain to me that the whole trademark thing was actually a nod to the Bill Bixby show in the 70s. Bill Bixby was the guy who played Bruce Banner in the 70s show, the one where Lou Ferrigno played the Hulk. And apparently at the time, CBS wanted to create something to compete with Wonder Woman and the Bionic Woman that also had television shows. So Stan Lee created She-Hulk and copyrighted it before CBS did. So this was apparently...
This was like some... wow.
Yeah, so this was apparently a little bit of a nod to that. Yeah, Marvin, you don't know. The fucking
fucked up.
The comic book industry back in the day was fucking
savage,
ruthless. Yeah. Well, you saw the fucking... I
saw the Superman one when that was just terrible.
Yeah.
That was just fucked up.
Lots of stories like that.
Yeah.
It was David Banner, by the way, in the old show.
Oh, that's right. They didn't change. That's actually right.
They didn't like the name Bruce.
I forgot about that.
David, the rapper.
David the rapper.
David Banner is a rapper.
Oh, right. Did we
talked about it one time before.
Yeah. Okay.
So I don't know if you guys know this, but everybody has an ass. All right. She-Hulk's not special because she has a nice ass.
What do you mean?
In the shows.
Oh, you just been noticing nice asses, or did they make a
no? In the show, yeah, they made it. She literally said everybody has an ass. The bride to be.
Oh, I must have missed that part.
It was towards the beginning of the show when She-Hulk showed up as She-Hulk.
Yeah.
And she was like, no, you can't be She-Hulk. And then she went in, or she was showing off her dress, and everybody was like, oh my God, look at her ass and all this shit.
I'm not going to lie. She was looking kind of good in that dress, even as She-Hulk. Yep. So, but I will say, I figured it out finally. You could rest easy, internet. I have figured out what the issue with the CGI is.
What is it?
Finally. I noticed it in this episode because of the dress, really. The body is not the issue. It's the hair. The hair is the worst part of it.
Yeah, just do something to it.
It looks like
way too big.
It looks like video game hair. And it's like super just unnatural looking. So it throws off the whole shit. the greenness and stuff isn't the issue. I discovered. But in this episode, she's invited to a high school friend's wedding in an unspecified location. They don't really get into that. And she was invited as a bridesmaid, and she was excited to go as the She-Hulk. So we're starting to see like the She-Hulk thing that we talked about from the comic books, where like she has more fun being the She-Hulk. She feels more like I don't want to say herself, but it's like the mask that we talked about, right? Like she could
she said she wanted to be amazing.
Yeah.
Right.
She doesn't have to be like the shy Jen who has like confidence issues and things like that. At this wedding, Titania shows up saying like, "Oh no, I'm not not everything's about you, Jen. I was here because I got invited by this fucking nerd over there." And I'm totally not here to fuck with you. Of course, that was not true, and we knew that was true. So one thing, we've talked about this before. I think one of the things the show is doing really well is like how self-aware it is, and there's more that we'll talk about later in the episode. But in the beginning, in the show's opener, she has that like moment of fourth wall break where she's like, "Yep, that's right. This is a basically saying it's a filler episode."
Pretty much, yeah.
And she's like, "I know it's like it's like an inconvenience, but you know, weddings are inconvenient anyway," and they are actually inconvenient. You know, I
always at the worst time.
Yeah, but just in general.
Well, this one was on a Thursday, Tuesday, or something.
I mean, speaking firsthand, you guys know I recently went to my buddy's wedding. One of my best friends, so I love you if you're watching this, so don't freak out. I know how sensitive he could be. I loved being a part of your wedding, but weddings in general are just like, it's a long day, and it's just tiring. You know, you have to break to take pictures and stuff. You can't really you don't really get to like have a good time as if you were just a guest, right?
Right.
So I get where she's coming from.
Yeah.
But so at this wedding, she actually shows up as the She-Hulk, and her friend, who is the bride to be, she's pretty upset. She's like, "Wow, how could you show up at my wedding as She-Hulk and try to take all the attention off of me?" So they have a little agreement that Jen will not transform, and of course, once Titania shows up, we kind of get the gist that that's not gonna last. But she I don't know. I don't really know like why they were doing this in this episode, but she turns into like the help at the wedding. At one point, the bride was just like, "Oh, hey, like I was, you know,
everyone else is quitting on me. We need help."
That everybody quit.
Yeah.
She's a little bit of a bridezilla, it seems, but they're just like, "Oh, the staff is leaving because apparently I'm mistreating them. Can you clean up some glasses?" Like, I don't feel like that would be a job for a bridesmaid, really.
Yeah. There's one thing I wanted to bring up about when she told her not to be She-Hulk.
Mm-hmm.
So Jen has like the wedding dress, right?
Yeah.
But it seems like the wedding dress was fit for Jen as Jen and not Jen as She-Hulk, but she wanted to go as She-Hulk.
Yes.
But they didn't. Why would she know that the dress, if she wanted to go as She-Hulk, the dress should have been in She-Hulk size, not in Jen's size.
Oh, so you're saying there was like no... Well, didn't they say in the beginning when she was trying it on that the guy, the fashion guy, made her the dress?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they did.
The wedding dress?
Wait. Yeah.
I'm talking about the wedding dress, not the blue dress.
The pink one, you mean?
The pink dress
yeah.
all the bridesmaids.
No, yeah.
It's kind of a plot hole or something.
Yeah, you're 100% right, because, you know, when you're part of a wedding party, you go and try on the shit. So
yeah. If her intention was to go as She-Hulk, it would have been to fit She-Hulk, not to fit Jen.
That's a good catch.
Yeah.
Investigative journalism by Marvin.
Got
him.
I won't stand for these plot holes.
You write a letter. Let him know.
I'll just get you to write me a strongly worded tweet, Dan. Your specialty.
I could craft a fucking tweet, boy. No,
they don't know. They don't know.
No, they don't know.
The audience does not know.
But no, that's a solid pickup. I didn't actually catch that. And I feel like when she finally did transform, it didn't even like tear or rip. They just showed the shoes pop off. Her shoes
popping off. That's it.
Which was actually pretty funny.
Yeah, it was.
But
she was like, I forgot, because she was like a little too tipsy, a little too drunk. Yeah. She's like, I forgot, and then she was like, nope.
No, I got this.
Yeah.
While the wedding stuff is playing out, we have a little side plot going on between Nikki and Mallory, and they've teamed up to take on a client who is Mr. Immortal, and he's
What
actually
the fuck, bro? Mr. Immortal.
he's actually
this fucking guy.
he's actually a comic book character, and he discovered that he is immortal because he tried to kill himself, and then he tries to kill himself over and over and over again, which
It's
is
so funny because
pretty
this
dark.
is like a passive aggressive person's dream power. Like instead of confrontation, you just jump out the window.
Yeah.
Easy, problem solved.
right.
And that's what he did for several marriages.
Well, he
He
was
even
doing
did it in the meeting.
Well,
in the office.
we do find out that he was pulling scams. Really,
Yeah,
he was
yeah.
marrying these
He was
women,
cashing out.
cashing out, basically racking up credit card debt and all this shit, having kids with
Okay.
one of them,
That was the fucked up part. Like that was OD.
and then killing himself. And not only that, but he was, taking on false identities. So they, they
yeah.
never really knew who he was.
Right.
Interestingly enough, in the comic book, Mr. Immortal, he's part of one of the Avengers teams. It's not the West Coast Avengers. I forget which one it is.
Oh
Great
shit!
Lakes.
There's fucking different Coast Avengers teams.
Oh yeah. So then,
oh man, do they have All-Star games?
I don't know. I would imagine so. But yeah, Dusty's right. He's part of the Great Lakes Avengers. And in the,
What?
yeah, and in the
Is that a
comic
serious
book,
thing? What the fuck?
yeah, and in the comics, they actually get served with a
Great
cease and desist because they're using the Avengers name. So that was a fun little nod and character to introduce. But that didn't, the wedding stuff was primarily the main plot point. And at one point, Jennifer's drinking. She's getting a little tipsy. She gets
She
drunk.
bought her drinks with cash, bro. That kind of ruined my immersion. You're not gonna lie. Ain't nobody carrying cash in fucking 2022.
That is true. But even more than that, I think the point was like, this wedding's shit because it's a cash bar. Usually weddings are an
Oh
open
yeah,
bar, right?
for sure.
She had a
for
lot
sure.
of loose bills.
Yeah, she did. Because she's fucking,
Conveniently.
there's a little like, what would you call it? Montage of her just like buying drinks and shit. And she's getting a little fucked up.
Slamming it now,
Put down like $13.
right?
eight
Like
times.
Jesus.
And eventually, she's puking, and Titania finally confronts her and tries to get her to turn because she wants to like embarrass
Yeah.
her in front of everybody. And finally,
It was fucked up too, though, because I mean, she was having a genuine connection before that with that guy,
we'll talk about that in a couple
and
minutes.
Titania comes and decks her in her shit.
We'll talk a little bit about that, Marvin. But before, I just want to say the fight I thought was hilarious that it was done to the electric slide,
That
because
was amazing.
the electric slide is like the quintessential wedding song, right? Like they play it at almost every wedding.
Wedding song. It's also the quintessential cookout song.
Is it really? I've never been to a
Yes.
cookout.
Well,
Hmm.
it's played quite a bit. Yeah.
That electric slide, boy, that is popular. It's
I
electric.
mean, any type of group dance song is played at a cookout normally.
All right.
Normally.
That's fair.
So
That's fair.
Mhm.
So I thought that was funny. The fight was actually pretty cool. It got a little bit of some much welcomed action. It was a little bit of action. I wouldn't even call it action. It was like a couple seconds long, but
right.
it was still fun to watch them fight. And Titania, unfortunately, gets embarrassed and her veneer's broken, and she just storms off with the cake and disappears. I don't necessarily think we're done with Titania yet. I have a feeling that she's going to get involved with some other,
The Thunderbolts or whatever. The
No.
Wrecking Crew guys.
the Wrecking Crew guys, yeah. And then we get a little bit of
It's confusing because he referred to him as Thunderbolt or something, right? When-
no, it was like Wrecking
Thunder
Ball.
something.
It was Wrecking Ball, I think.
Oh, okay.
It was one of the guys' names. I think,
Okay.
aren't they called the Wrecking Crew or something, Dusty?
I don't know. I
I don't remember.
Something like that. But, it brings up an interesting point because you mentioned, the guy she meets. And again, I'm going to get into that in a second. But the end of the episode, we get, I guess we should talk about him first. So she meets this dude. He approaches her at the wedding or at the bridal shower, wherever they were first. And, he's like, he's like talking up to her. He seems like a nice guy. He's like, I came alone. I didn't get a +1. I figured I could meet somebody here. And yeah, he seems a little too good to be true, but only because and I don't mean this in the sense that like other people do, but we've seen the way men have been portrayed in this show so far.
Mm-hmm.
So you already understand, like, he's probably not
Ulterior
as
motive.
yeah, he's probably not as he appears, but he seems to be cool with her in Gen form. she talks about like, oh, I'm super strong. You want to see? And he's like, yeah, I'd love to see. And when she actually does transform into the Hulk, he's like, you know, they kind of catch eyes at each other, and he's like, you know, kind of like impressed by it, and all this stuff. And at the end of the episode, they're sharing a plate of fries together at the end of the night. And as the camera pans out, it transitions into a computer monitor in a lab, and they're being watched. They're being monitored. And in this lab, you get some interesting stuff. You get like a bottle of green liquid, and, you know, you see the broken needle from a few episodes back, and a new, bigger and more badass needle.
Yeah.
That one
That
can
shit was
only
gnarly.
assume is made out of vibranium, considering it was considering it was actually mentioned in a few episodes back by the creepy Tinder date. What was his name? Todd or something? Todd, yeah.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling, fellas, that we are eventually going to come to find out whether or not vibranium can in fact pierce Hulk skin.
I think it does.
But this lab was very reminiscent of the lab of the leader in the Incredible Hulk movie, and we talked about that a couple episodes back. And we now know, thanks to Dusty's intrepid reporting, that he is confirmed to be in the Captain America New World Order movie that's coming. So it would stand to reason that he may make an appearance before then. And perhaps he is the one that is attempting to acquire some Hulk blood, as he was attempting to do in that movie. But I'm a little bit confused, though, because Todd, I think, was clearly introduced as more than just a Tinder date, right? Because he was back in that other episode where we find out he's like actually a client of the law firm that she's working at.
Right. Yeah.
And he made that little comment, that creepy comment about, oh, do you think vibranium can pierce your skin? Like, there's something more to him. So I don't know if it's going to be where he works for the leader, or if he's the actual villain and the leader is kind of just like not actually going to be a thing. What are you thinking over there, Dusty? I see the gears turning.
No. Leader's a good lead. He
Leader
probably works
or-
for the leader.
Or he's like financing the thing, because he seemed like a rich guy,
Yeah,
right?
that was my thought. Like, he's financing whatever the leader's activity is.
Yeah.
So that was cool to see. Nice little Easter egg. Now,
We saw like a fake Reddit website or something where
yeah.
they were like plotting on how to kill She-Hulk.
Yeah.
And
So
it looked at the end when you go to that lab, it looks like there was a notification or something
mhm.
from that website too that showed on the screen.
There sure was. In fact, that notification said, if the next is the next phase of the plan ready to go. And we know it's from this fake MCU QAnon site, because it has the fake Pepe the Frog
Yeah.
Emo?
Intelligentsia
Some sort of
is what it was called. too.
4chan website.
Yeah, Intelligentsia. So this website was discovered by Nikki and Mallory through the case that they were working on, because one of Mr. Immortal's previous wives says that she discovered him because she saw a video of a man coming back from the dead on this website. And they take a look at the website, and they're looking through, and it's like the typical, like Dusty said, 4chan, like, you know, woman hater shit posting site. And like, you know, they're reading through some of the article, some of the postings, and then they get like real dark. You know, some of them are just like, it's actually,
How can we kill She-Hulk?
it's another reason why this show is very self-aware, actually, because some of the memes were like, "Where's yoga pants? Gets mad when man looks at her." So it's funny that when this show came out, they knew that they were going to be attacked by all these people who are attacking it on YouTube and Twitter and all this stuff, and they just pre-prepared jokes to shit on these people.
4D chess, baby.
Yep. Genius. Josh, our boy Josh, we said he's probably more than meets the eye, and we may have gotten a glimpse at a comic book villain, Hate Monger. And Hate Monger in the comic books is a, you know, your typical like racist and like anti-immigration type of guy. But it would make sense that if he's in this show, that he would be like, you know, a woman hater, or like even, you know, anti-enhanced peoples type of guy. Because I don't think it's an accident that the next cut of that scene where they're sharing fries immediately goes to the lab, right? So I don't know if he'll be the villain hate monger or inspired by him or something, but I do definitely think he's more than just nice Josh at the wedding.
That's interesting.
And it's interesting too because the show is also like gearing. It's been like building this story of like, you know, when we've talked about this before, how do you make a compelling character about someone who's nearly indestructible, like Superman, right? It's hard to write a character like that, and in order to do that, you have to give them vulnerability. Well, what is Jen's vulnerability? Is that she's lonely, as you know herself. She's not super like comfortable, like being social. Maybe because she spent so much time with her head in the books, like going to law school and all this stuff. So She-Hulk is the way that she's able to sort of open up and like be the person that she really wants to be as Jen, and she's having some trouble sort of like balancing those two things out. So that's why I think it seemed like pretty clear to me that Josh was trying to exploit this vulnerability in her.
Right. That makes sense. Yeah.
So
damn it. So no genuine love connection for our girl.
I don't think so. I could be wrong, but I don't think so.
Shit. They shared fries though.
They did share fries, and that's fucked up.
This guy needs to die horrible death if he's just sharing fries and not meaning it.
I'm a big fry guy. I love fries.
Me
so,
too, dude.
you know, and I'm the dude who, you know, the meme of like when your girlfriend is just like, no, I don't want anything. And then you get back with the fries and you're like, let me just have a few fries. And then they eat all your fucking fries. That shit, when I was in relationships, used to fucking frustrate me to no end. It's like, if you just wanted fries, get fucking fries. Don't eat my fries. But, you know, like the sharing of the fry without any issue is like the ultimate form of affection.
Romance.
Yeah, it really is. It's like become that thing. It's like, oh, well, if he's willing to share fries with me.
This is like eating the spaghetti, like the fucking, what's the two dogs? They eat the spaghetti and they slurp the spaghetti and kiss. What's the name of that? Anybody know?
No, but it was, the movie?
Yeah.
Oh, The Fox and the Hound.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Classic Disney film. They're going to make a live action version of it and race swap. They're going to be cats instead of dogs.
Oh, no.
Yeah, people will be fucking pissed.
Yeah. You haven't seen the dog versus cat war yet.
We're really not the target audience for this. I mean, obviously, we're getting enjoyment out of it because it's Marvel and like it's a fun show and we're not fucking idiots. But you can see that
it's losing me.
Is it?
Is it? This one was boring to you, or like?
I guess I was expecting a more witty courtroom drama from She-Hulk attorney at law.
Dusty's
and
really
these
hellbent.
Filler episodes are like, we're getting character development, and it could still surprise me, but I'm really I'm like, all right, let's get there. Come on, let's get there. I don't know.
Oh man,
starting to lose it on me.
I don't want to come at you, but I feel like you may have been a little bit too hopeful to expect like a courtroom drama. I know you like those things because you've said it before. I don't know if Marvel's there yet. Like they could experiment and do stuff and get away with it. I don't know if they're at the point yet where they could make like a fucking legal drama just yet.
That would be sick though.
But yeah, so I don't know. I did feel like this episode was like kind of fillery, but I still enjoyed it. There were little fun moments, as we said. But we'll see what's coming. Maybe next week will be the Daredevil episode. Tune in next week to find out.
Tune in.
Did you like this episode, Marvin?
Yeah, I thought it was cool. Like I don't mind because these episodes are so short anyway. So
that's true. By the time you have
get through it, and then like it's cool.
I think by the time
filler is fine because it's so short. I think.
Yeah, by the time you even have a chance to be annoyed by it, it's like already over. I think.
Yeah.
Unless Dusty, did you feel like you were like kind of really like having to drag ass
No, that's
through
kind of the disappointment. No, that's kind of the disappointment. It's like, all right, well, there's 30 minutes of that. We could have gone somewhere else with it. I mean, I don't know. I guess if I think about like we're talking about like the Netflix stuff, like I think a Netflix She-Hulk would have been amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, compared to how they're treating this one, like the Disney, you're talking about the tonality of the show.
And I guess if you really wanted to like, you know, rip it apart, like obviously the main part of this episode was the climax where it's like the big reveal of like, oh, she's being watched, and like they're gearing up for a bigger mystery here of something nefarious is happening. They could have presented that at the end of an episode that is a courtroom drama or something. Like, it didn't have to be the wedding part of it. So in that regard, I do get, where you're coming from. Like, they could introduce that plot stuff however they want. It doesn't necessarily have to be her at a wedding.
I just, as a comparison, like, I felt more involved with the Hawkeye story as it progressed along than I have been with this one.
I mean, the Hawkeye story was, like, in my opinion, infinitely better, personally.
Right.
But that was a much different story and
Right.
show. But yeah, I don't know. It was okay. Yeah, I think that's about it for me.
It's not a bad show. I'm not trying to rip it apart. I
understand.
It's losing me a little bit.
It's fair. It's fair.
We'll see it through. Hopefully
Fair.
it turns me around, but
Yeah, we'll see what happens next week. Let us know in the comments, folks, what you thought of this episode of She-Hulk, if you're still watching it. And if you have not done so already, please be sure to subscribe to the channel. And check out our website, harshlanguage.tv. We'll catch you in the next one.
See ya.
Costa.